Shabbat Shalom, everybody. After reading this morning's Torah reading, it appears, I'm not saying it's true, but I'm saying it appears that God comes off rather petty. Now, why do I say that? Because when he's giving instructions to Moses and Aaron, what does he do? He tells them, "But I will harden Pharaoh's heart that I may multiply my signs and marvels in the land of Egypt. And when Pharaoh does not heed you, I will lay my hand upon Egypt and deliver my ranks, my people, the Israelites, from the land of Egypt with an extraordinary chastisements against the Egyptians. And then the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord. And when I stretch out my hand over Egypt and bring out the Israelites from the midst, they will know that I am God." After the first few plagues fail, they failed to make any real dent in Pharaoh's stubbornness. What does God do again? God has Moses tell Pharaoh, "This time, you didn't listen to me last time, so this time, I will send all my plagues upon every one of your persons, every one of your courtiers, every one of your people, in order that you may know that there is none like me in the world. I could have stretched out my hand and stricken you and all your people with pestilence, and you would have been effaced from the earth. Nevertheless, I have spared you for this purpose, in order to show you my power, and in order that my fame may resound throughout the world." What is God saying here? God's saying here that I could have wiped you out right from the start, but instead, I'm torturing you with all of these additional plagues, just so that you know that I'm the boss, that I'm the one in charge. And if that's not enough, in next week's Torah portion, God tells Moses that he's hardened Pharaoh's heart and is subjecting Egypt to all of those horrible plagues in order to deepen their faith of future generations of Jews. And then the Lord said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the hearts of all his courtiers, in order that I may display these my signs upon them, and that you may recount in the hearing of your sons and your sons-in-law that I made a mockery of the Egyptians, and how I displayed my signs among them, in order that you may know that I am the Lord." You know, I have to tell you something. When you read this, God in many ways sounds a little petty, as I said before. And there are many people who aren't believers, who seem to think that if only they saw a real miracle, then they'd believe in God. That's what they believe. People tell me that. They say, "Rabbi, how do I know that God exists? Let him show me that he exists. Let him show some form of extraordinary, extra-natural, cataclysmic event, and I will know that God exists." Exactly the theory that God was working on in his program of plagues on the Egyptian people. Surely, we can imagine God saying to God's self, "Hey, after witnessing all of these miracles, the people will believe. They will have unshakable faith in me after what they've seen. How well does that work out for God? Not so well. And let me show you why. After witnessing the 10 miraculous plagues, when the people are on their way out of Egypt, they already lose faith. As Pharaoh was drawing near to try and recapture them and bring them back, they say to Moses, they start whining and they start kvetching and they start saying to him, why did you bring us out here to make graves here in the desert? Weren't the graves in Egypt good enough for us to die, that we have to die in the wilderness? What have you done to us, Moses? Why did you take us out of Egypt? Is this not the very thing we told you in Egypt, saying, let us be, and we'll serve the Egyptians? For it's better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness. And then God comes through with another miracle. The parting of the Red Sea. The drowning of the Egyptian army. It even seems like they now have faith in God. Because we're told, and when Israel saw the wondrous power which the Lord had wielded against the Egyptians, the people feared the Lord. They had faith in the Lord and in his servant Moses. But you know what? It doesn't last too long. 3 days later, people forgot the miracle already. They forgot the parting of the sea. That was a few days earlier. 3 days later, the people are complaining about the water. Doesn't taste good. They complain about the food. The menu was not to their liking. At the giving of the Torah, they are so impatient and have such little faith that when Moses is slow coming down from the mountain, what do? They build a golden calf. And when the people send spies to check out the land of Israel, what happens? They lose faith. And despite having seen wondrous plagues and the parting of the Red Sea, the people see big, strong foes in Israel and are ready to give up. God could do all those miracles. God delivered them from bondage. He smote the Egyptian armies, divided the sea. But God suddenly out of miracles. Faith in God doesn't come from witnessing supernatural miracles. That's the reality. We don't need talking snakes. We don't need talking donkeys. We don't need epic floods. We don't need to see parting of seas to have faith in God. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel Zedek Tzadik Livracha said that what we need is an ability to see the miracles that are all around us every day, every moment. And this is what Heschel said. He said that awe precedes faith. It is at the root of faith. We must grow in awe in order to reach faith. We must be guided by awe to be worthy of faith. Awe rather than faith is the cardinal attitude of the religious Jew. Al Siddur, you're going to read in just a minute. In the Musaf conveys the same message to us. In the Modim blessing of the Amidah, this is what we say, Modim anachnu lach. We thank you and sing your praises for our lives that are in your hands, for our souls that are under your care, for your miracles that accompany us each day, and for the wonders and the gifts that are with us each moment, evening, morning, and noon. God's wonders, God's gifts are with us each moment. But it's up to us to see those wonders and those gifts. There's a blessing we traditionally recite after using the restroom. Yes, every time we go to the bathroom, when we come out, we're required to say a blessing. And that blessing praises God, reminding us of what a miracle it is that our bodies work as well as they do. And you know what we praise? We praise God by saying, who formed man with wisdom and created within him, many openings and many hollow spaces. It is obvious and known before your seat of honor that if even one of them would be opened, or if one of them would be sealed, it would be impossible for us to survive and to stand before you, even for 1 hour. Baruch atah Adonai. Blessed are you, Adonai, who heals all flesh and acts wondrously. Going back to Heschel, he also said that our goal should be to live in radical amazement. Get up in the morning and look at the world in a way that takes nothing for granted. Everything is phenomenal. Everything is incredible. Never treat life casually. To be spiritual is to be amazed. Or as Albert Einstein put it, there are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. And the other is as though everything is a miracle. There's a story told of the Kotzker Rabbi, Menachem Mendel of Kotzk, the 19th century Hasidic master, who asked his students, where is God found? Now, of course, them being very pious, very studious yeshiva bochrim, they responded, Milakol haaretz kavodo. The whole world is full of God's glory. Quoting Isaiah, a phrase that's familiar from our prayers. The Kotzker Rebbe shook his head and said, no, not so. Don't agree with Isaiah. God is found wherever we let him in. We let God in when we can feel a sense of awe and wonder at the miracles around us. And if we lose that ability to be amazed by the world that God has created, supernatural miracles will not break through to our hearts and lead us to faith. Remember, God is only found wherever we let him in. Shabbat Shalom.